Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making Japanese potato croquettes because I was craving them. So to start this dish, we need to mince up 3 cloves of garlic into a nice fine mince. If you find that your garlic's moving around, just sprinkle a little kosher salt. That should keep it in place. Once we have that thoroughly minced, we can transfer that over to a small bowl. This is going to be the seasoning for our ground beef because there is ground beef in this recipe. Next, we're going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon-ish of mirin, 1 teaspoon of gochujang, and I'm so sad this container was almost empty, but I did order more since I filmed this video. Next in goes 1/2 tablespoon of light soy sauce, 1/2 tablespoon of dark soy sauce, and we're going to mix this together just until that sugar and that gochujang dissolve and everything combines and forms a nice beautiful sauce for our beef. And once that has happened, we can go ahead and set that aside until we're ready to use it. We also need 1/2 of a small onion and 1 small carrot, and we're going to chop that into a small dice. I skipped the chopping part. You guys have watched me chop 10,000 times. Well, I haven't done that many videos. Next up, we need a little over 1 pound of potatoes. I'm using russets because I like the starchiness of these. I like to wait till the last minute to peel them so they don't oxidize and turn brown. Once we have them peeled, we are going to chop this into a uniform chunk because we want all these potatoes to cook evenly. Once we have them all chopped, we're going to throw one at the camera and then move over to the stove. In a pot of simmering water, we're going to generously salt with a little kosher salt and tip in our potatoes and cook these until when you poke them with a fork, they fall apart, which should take about 8 minutes. In a separate saute pan, we're adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil. If you want to keep this vegetarian, just skip this beef part. We're going to add 1/2 pound of ground beef, and we're going to cook this until it starts to brown. Then we're going to add in our carrots and our onions. And we want to cook this for about 5 minutes because we want to soften and sweeten those onions, but we still want a little bit of a crunch to the carrot. And we want that beef to finish cooking. So after 5 minutes, we are going to go ahead and add in the sauce that we made, scraping all of that goodness in there. And we're going to let this cook for an additional 5 minutes just to thicken up that sauce and make sure it coats everything. And once that happens, we're going to take this off the heat and drain this in a strainer because we don't want a ton of that beef fat. But first, we're going to taste for seasoning. The salinity of this is good, so we're going to go ahead and add in a teaspoon of freshly ground white pepper. Give that a mix, and then drain out the beef fat into a strainer and set that aside and let that cool down while we work on the potatoes. So our potatoes are done cooking. We can go ahead and strain out the potatoes from the liquid and then plop them back into the hot pot, but no heat. We just want to absorb or that excess moisture to evaporate. And then we're going to go ahead in with a potato masher and start smashing these down like we're making mashed potatoes. Then we're going to transfer that over to a large bowl just because it cools it down a little faster. And then add in our beef mixture. And we're going to give this a nice thorough stir because we want beef and carrots and onions throughout these potatoes. Now, because we added all of these potatoes, we need to taste again for seasoning. And we're going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt and about 1/8 of a teaspoon of freshly ground white pepper. Give that a good mix and set that aside while we make a batter. So for the batter, we need 1 whole egg, giving that a little whisk just to break it up, 3 tablespoons of cold water, four tablespoons of flour. Okay, full disclosure, I went to my office Christmas party, and the next day I woke up and I was a little miserable because I was hungover, and this is what I wanted and I was craving. But I digress. Last but not least, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of kewpie mayonnaise. It's going to add a creaminess and a tanginess to this. Now, to make these even, I'm scooping out with an ice cream scooper. So just taking 1 scoop and forming this into a little oval patty in my hand. And yes, I'm being precious here. I'm using 2 spoons because I tried to do it with my hands and the first one broke apart, which was tragic because this would have given me 8 perfect croquettes. But everything's an experiment. Once we have it coated in our batter, we're going to plop that into our panko. I have 2 cups of panko in this tray here. We're going to coat this thoroughly, and I have a little baking sheet set up with a wire rack that I'm just going to place these on until we're ready to fry them. So just continue to form and coat, and you should have a shallow pan of neutral oil heating up to 375 on your stove. Once everything is formed, we're going to carefully drop these into our hot oil and fry these until they're golden brown. So this should take about 3 to 4 minutes on one side. We're going to give them a little flip and cook it for an additional 2 minutes, but eyeball it, keep an eye on it. When it's golden brown, go ahead and pull them out. And we're going to sprinkle these with salt immediately because we want that seasoning to stick. Now to plate, I'm just putting 2. I could have eaten all 8 of them onto a plate. And let's break this open and see what's going on inside. Steamy, hot, and appetizing looking. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a taste. The outside, the panko is crunchy. You get a slight crunch from the carrot as well. You get that creaminess from the potato. There's a touch of tanginess from that mayonnaise. The beef is well seasoned and absolutely delicious. And I'm so happy I made these. They're exactly what I was craving. But there it is. Japanese potato croquettes. I really do hope you all try to make these. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really do appreciate it. I can't believe there are only 2 videos left, including this one, until the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like. If you loved it, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because I put out new videos every Thursday. Thank you again. Happy holidays. And until next time, happy cooking.